this clean victory over Hogan is interesting because we hear all the time that Roddy did not like to get pinned. And even when he worked as a heel in the WWF, most of his matches were ending in DQ or count out. Jake has actually talked about it before and said that he thinks it's absurd to not allow yourself to be pinned in wrestling.
Yeah.
I know that you worked with Roddy a number of times in the WWF. What can you tell us about Roddy refusing to take a clean loss?
Well, I don't think that we ever talked about it. I mean, I just, we did what we did. And I think, when I was working with him, I was the heel. I mean, I was never the baby face, working with him. And so, I don't know if that was ever even brought up.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be honest with you, until you just said that, I didn't realize that he didn't like to get pinned.
Yeah, that's a big part of his reputation, and
I
I
mean,
think
and I wonder how that got by me.
I guess probably because, like I said, or like you said, you were the heel, so you didn't really have to deal with it. And then plus, it's I think that he started to develop this reputation before you even arrived in the WWF, and he was gone, right? He would have been gone by the time you debuted for the WWF.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would not take clean pinfalls. And actually, moving forward from this, they're gonna have a rematch at Super Bowl, and apparently Piper is gonna refuse to let Hogan beat him with his leg drop. And Scott Hall is gonna call Piper out backstage about it and say like, "Hey, Hogan did the favor for you at Starrcade, and you can't put him over clean here at Super Bowl. Like it's bullshit."
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't know it. I mean, but I'll be honest with you. Scott was right. That's, and I liked Roddy, but that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the business is a work, and who are you to think that you're so good that you're never going to get beat by a 1, 2, 3 count? That's just, I'm sorry. I would have told him the same thing.
Yeah, it's silliness. It's
It's just crazy.
hard to wrap your head around, especially because Piper is kind of like an old school guy, much like yourself or Jake, and this generation. I don't know. I know that he had a hard time when he was first coming up in wrestling, so maybe that kind of jaded him, where he was like, "Hey, I need to protect myself in this business."
Yeah, well, there's ways to protect yourself, but refusing to get beat. I
It,
mean, it's always the how and the when and the why. Okay, there's, you know, I don't know. I mean, again, you have revealed a couple things to me about guys I've known in the business for 40 years that I never knew before. Just one episode of our podcast. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it goes to show that you were keeping your nose out of other people's business, which is great. That's why you had a nice long career. It's funny because it's such an individual business, wrestling. You're focused on your individual contract, your individual look, your individual creative.
Yeah.
And it's interesting hearing you and Jake talk about wrestling because you guys were both just focused on like, okay, how's this match going to be great? Because Jake has always said, he's like, I don't give a shit if I get pinned. It's all a work. I don't care. And I
Yeah.
know that you feel the same way too.
Exactly.
So it's like you guys are just focused on how do we have a good match, and thereby you guys always had good matches.
And it's the other thing about, it's like, it's not okay. It's not just getting beat. I mean, but there's a way to get beat and keep your heat. Again, even if it's a pinfall, it's like, how did the pinfall happen? In other words, it's like it should never, like if you're a heel, and especially if you're working a program, it should never be that the baby face just beats the shit out of you and then beats you. For an example, maybe the baby face makes a big comeback on me, bing 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 bing, and then he goes for a move, and I sidestep him or something, and it looks like I'm going to get something on him, and he reverses it, and down I go, and he rolls me up 1, 2, 3. That, but I mean, just to get your ass totally kicked, slammed, suplexed, or whatever, 1, 2, 3. No, not not like that. If I think if you follow what I'm talking about,
I do. It's like there's certain ways to do it
it's
where
a
you're not.
certain ways to do it without losing your heat.
I've also heard about heels taking this method, which always makes me laugh because it's silly, but it works. Where if somebody beats you, and even if they beat you clean and wind up kind of kicking your ass during the match, afterwards, the heel just says like, "No, you never beat me," which I think is a funny way to do it because that'll piss the audience off too.
Yeah, yeah. What are you talking about? He didn't beat me.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody saw it. It's on national TV, but you just flat out refuse to acknowledge it. I think
Yeah.
that's one way to go about it.